All right, one of the mysteries of this year's Oscars was the absence of Spider-Man star Andrew Garfield, who was announced as one of the presenters this year but ended up not appearing on the show. Oscar producers earlier in the week, prior to the awards, said that Garfield would be inducting a very special new hero. John, what have we learned about Garfield's absence for the Academy Awards?
It is crazy what has been spinning around the internet the last couple of hours. Okay, so here's basically the thing. So as Chrisley explained, and we talked about on AMC Movie Talk the other day, Andrew Garfield was supposed to be one of the presenters at the awards. Producers went on and on. He's going to be inducting a new superhero into the pantheon of superheroes. Well, as it turns out, what Andrew Garfield was supposed to be doing, he was supposed to be introducing a montage and bringing out, remember Bat Kid?
Of course I remember that.
You know, that was all the internet rage a few days ago, that wonderful kid who ran around saving San Francisco from crime in the streets. It was awesome, one of the most coolest things I've seen online in a long time. Well, anyway, he was supposed to be on stage with Andrew Garfield, and Andrew Garfield was supposed to be like the inducting Bat Kid into the legion of superheroes, if you will, at that. Well, there's this rag called the New York Post that I never really believe anything that comes out of it, particularly page 6. So they ran this big sensationalized story, right, saying what happened was the day of the Oscars, and this is being run by tons of websites as their headlines right now. New York Post, page 6 is reporting that Andrew Garfield threw a huff because he didn't like the lines the Academy was giving him on the day, on Sunday morning, the day of the Academy Awards, and said he stormed out and refused to do it. And then the producers of the Academy Awards, since Bat Kid had flown all the way down to be a part of the Oscars, had his tux and everything, they had to cut his part of the show out, and to make up for it, they paid for him and his family to go to Disneyland. But that Garfield was irate and stormed out of the Oscars and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what everybody's running with. However, E! Actually came up with the actual story and the real truth behind it. And the real truth behind it, because they talked to an actual rep of the Academy who said that it was actually the Academy's decision to cut the piece. They said, you know, there were just technical issues, it wasn't coming together, and they decided at the last second on Sunday morning to just drop the piece. I had a very wise man once tell me this saying, which I kind of live my life by when it comes to leadership stuff. When in doubt, don't. It's a very simple philosophy, but it's a pretty good one, especially when you're broadcasting to 4 billion people who are going to be watching around the world. So for whatever reason, the Academy decided to drop the piece, and the Academy said Andrew Garfield left and went to Disneyland with Bat Kid and his family. So this whole sensation, once again, you know what, folks? As it turns out, it's not just the internet that is completely, flagrantly irresponsible with disseminating information. Apparently rags like the New York Post and stuff like that are into doing it too, and then everybody just picks up the headline and runs with it without ever bothering to looking into seeing if it's actually true. So if you have friends today who are telling you, did you hear that Garfield spit in the face of Bat Kid and walked out of the Oscars? Set them straight, saying actually that's not the real story. Anyway, Aaron, your reaction when you first heard about this going around?
Well, someone sent it to both of us on Twitter this morning. Thank you, by the way, for sending that our way. I read the story and I was immediately so disheartened. I thought it was so sad and terrible. But I know, coming from page 6, you don't always know if there's a lot of verification going on there or what's true and what's not. So I looked into a little bit more, and I found a lot of stories on the internet, not only circulating the page 6 story, but I also heard stories from Radar Online and the Daily Mail that were reporting that Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield decided 2 days before the Oscars to not go because of Emma Stone's family issues or commitments that she had that were long-standing, that were personal. She had to go back to Arizona, and I guess he went with her. So there was that story going around too. And then,
and that was disproved because Andrew Garfield was there the day before doing the rehearsals at the Oscars with Bat Kid. So those reports go out the window too. It's crazy how this stuff works.
There's so many rumors going around on the internet, but I'm glad to hear that it didn't have to do with him and that Bat Kid still got his special experience with Spider-Man, which is, I think, what we all really wanted to hear. You know, this kid who's working with Make-A-Wish Foundation have his dream come true to one extent. So I think it's a good, happy ending there instead of this terrible story being true. How horrible. I feel bad for Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, and once again, it just raises the whole thing that what I really hope that movie fans, especially online movie fans, what we get in the practice of doing is moving from just believing, oh, we heard this story, to, hey, this is an interesting story, let's look into this. And is this really true, and where does it come from? Because so much bull gets circulated. It's just absolutely incredible.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.